Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And he's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer, board-certified by the National Board of Trial Advocacy and by the Minnesota State Bar Association as a criminal trial specialist and a criminal law specialist. Today we're reacting to the sentencing of R. Kelly. Now, let's go back and think about what the hell R. Kelly was charged with. He was charged with a number of counts with a number of victims related to criminal sexual conduct. But it wasn't just straight criminal sexual conduct. It also had to do with some torture, some really vile shit. Now, let me tell you this. I've been doing this for almost 25 years, okay? And criminal sexual conduct cases are something I handle on a regular basis. We just do. I mean, we do that. We do murder cases. We do drug cases. And it's just kind of one of the genres that we handle. And it never ceases to amaze me, the depravity that some people decide to delve in. And, you know, what R. Kelly did was control and humiliation. And he fucking got off on it. I mean, he got off on it because he could do whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. And that's absolute power, and absolute power does what? Corrupts absolutely. So we've got a little video here we'll watch. I haven't seen it yet, but it's we'll just react to the news, and we'll talk a little bit more about it on the other side.
30 years. That's the sentence for singer R. Kelly.
I believe I can fly.
The 55-year-old fallen star learned his fate after being convicted of racketeering and sex trafficking.
So, racketeering and sex trafficking. Well, sex trafficking, it was the same thing that Ghislaine Maxwell was charged with. But when you have a purpose of an organization, or in this case, you know, his business as a performer, and a part of that business is procuring women, and some of them are underage, for the purpose of sex, the courts, it takes it to a new level. I'll tell you this, homicides are easier to defend than sex cases. They just are. You know, when you hear a homicide, somebody shot somebody, oh, what happened? Oh, you know, you don't have this, was it in self-defense? You know, everybody has a gun. Nobody gives a shit about that. But when your client sits there and they say, you know, what the charges are, criminal sexual conduct in the first degree, blah, 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 and it's a child, let's say it's a child, and I know some of the kids in this case were underage, and the judge says, whatever the judge says, when that jury looks at your client, guess what? They're picturing him doing that shit. You know, so it's very difficult to dig yourself out of that fucking hole.
Victims spoke about the sentence.
I never thought that I would be here to see him be held accountable.
When you're facing a sentencing on something like this, to be honest with you, there's nothing you can fucking say. So you're better off not saying anything. And he's maintaining his innocence. So the only way to, you know, one of the factors in deciding whether there's any mitigation is when you have acceptance of responsibility, right? He went to trial, he fucking lost, he's going to appeal, so he's got zero acceptance of responsibility. He's also now a sex offender. When you, and so what she's talking about there was part of the process is called allocution. The defendant has a right to say whatever they want to say to the court. And generally, if it's this bad, and especially if you're going to appeal it, you don't have to say anything. But there's another victim impact part of sentencing where the victims get up and first of all, they all testified. So listening to their testimony and having to attack their credibility from a defense lawyer's standpoint is a very tricky thing to do. And it's a very delicate thing to do, because if you do it the wrong way, the jury fucking hates your guts and your client is fucked. But listening to them, and I guarantee you, during the phase where you have the victim impact, that they get up there and they talk and they talk and they talk, and you just have to sit there and listen, and it's very difficult because usually it's heart-wrenching. You can see that they're almost in tears.
Stand here very proud of my judicial system, very proud of my fellow survivors, and very pleased with the outcome. 30 years did he do this, and 30 years is what he got.
Katie, does this send a message?
Yes, it does. It sends a message to other survivors that, you know, this is a day and time that we're being heard and believed.
The prosecution team says he avoided punishment for decades until today.
R. Kelly is a predator, and as a result of our prosecution, he'll serve a long jail sentence for his crimes.
You know, when I look at what R. Kelly did, I kind of liken it to Jeffrey Epstein, you know, and the whole island thing and how he isolated people. And this, I don't want to say it's worse, but it might have been. And because there was, I think, torture involved. And I mean, I had heard that, you know, they had asked permission to go to the bathroom, and they were, basically imprisoned. And so, you know, my heart goes out to these ladies. It does, because and for what? For somebody's sick fucking pleasure. You know, Epstein was the same fucking way, completely narcissistic. You know, and that's what serial rapists and serial killers are the same way. They kill for their own satisfaction. They're consuming human beings, which, you know, there's just no different. There's no end to the variety of depravity in the human condition.
Attorney described Kelly's mood after hearing sentencing.
Obviously, he's devastated. 30 years in prison is like a life sentence for him.
Attorney Gloria Allred represents several of the victims.
Not a fan.
While he is in custody, he will not be able to continue to sexually victimize any other underage girls.
We're his sisters.
Also on hand, Kelly's 3 sisters showing their support. If Kelly serves out his entire sentence, he won't be free until he's 85 years old.
So, what do you make of that? 30 years. You know, in some jurisdictions, it would be life. Federally, he could have gotten life. And I'm not sure if he's got any charges elsewhere, but that is a huge sentence. And it's a huge sentence for him, and it's a measure of resolution and closure for the victims in the case. And they are victims. They're 100% victims. But let's hope that they don't let it define them. You know, in fact, they like to use the word survivor, and I like that better, actually, than victim. Because it connotes kind of more of a position of strength, because they spoke up. I think women should be listened to. Their story needs to stand up to scrutiny, to cross-examination for sure, but they need to be listened to. And hearing these horrific stories from R. Kelly, you know, I'm not going to opine about whether it's a just sentence or not, because it is what it is. And but, you know, when you put your fucking toe in that depravity water, guess what? It's going to catch up with you. It just will. You know, so you're better off, if you've got an issue, going to get help for it. Otherwise, just be respectful and treat women decently. You know, this is a situation where it just went fucking crazy. And here's the other thing. The guys around him who are helping him procure these ladies were just as guilty as he is. So this has been our reaction to R. Kelly and his sentencing of 30 fucking years. So my hat goes off to Michael Rivers, who's our producer. He and I are just kind of getting back in the swing of things after I've been in trial for a long time. My hat goes off to all you guys for supporting us. Really appreciate it. Just keep it up. So make sure you subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. Sign up for Patreon and spread the word. Stop self-snitching. We'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.